If you're celebrating a special occasion or just love fine dining, you're in the right place. Come experience the crown jewel of South Point restaurants, Michael's Gourmet Room.
Welcome.
With over 600 different types of wines and magnificent dishes prepared tableside, you'll revel in the rich classic Vegas decor and the best black tie service in the world. This intimate gourmet room has earned accolades galore. Come to Michael's Gourmet Room for an unforgettable dining experience. Another famous restaurant is the Silverado Steakhouse, where you'll find the charm and service that discerning patrons require. From top quality steaks and chops to fresh seafood and desserts, you'll love the award-winning wine list and menu at Silverado Steakhouse. Steak lovers have even more options with primarily prime rib. Catering to hearty appetites, the menu features a variety of flavorful prime rib cuts, dry aged to ensure tenderness, and then seasoned and slowly roasted. Although prime rib is our specialty, it's not the only thing on the menu. There's something for everyone.
Ready to lock in your bets and cash in on the games this weekend? Get weekly football winners from Alex White, Chris Andrews, and Vinny Magliulo.
I did take the dog 3.5.
I'm going to stay with the Colts here. That's definitely going to be one of my plays.
If the Bears have turned the corner, they have to take care of business in this game.
Yes.
Tune in for behind-the-book perspectives you won't find anywhere else.
Well, if you're looking to bet the under, you're going to get a better number.
The wise guys are certainly not going to play the favorites.
I know if it hits 7, don't blink. Maybe that's what bettors are waiting for.
Every NFL matchup, every college game that matters, the spreads, the stats, and the smart money plays.
Is there a way to bet against both teams?
Get your winning edge with Football Frenzy, streaming on YouTube every Friday at noon Pacific.
Here we go. First Friday of the new year. Happy to be here with you. Welcome in, everybody. We've got a lot to get to on this Sports by the Book Football Frenzy. No Chris Andrews today. Had a big meeting, but we will be holding it down here. I'm Alex White alongside Vinny Magliulo. And then, of course, Ryan McCormick joins us for the second portion when we dive into the NFL. Vinny, well, we had some really exciting games yesterday. It ended off great there with Ole Miss getting it done, and that was probably the best of the 4 quarterfinals. But we have it set, the semifinals for the college football playoffs. A little shocking, right? Number 2, 3, and 4 all out of it. The seeding, of course.
Yes, Alex. By the way, Happy New Year to you, Alex, the crew. On behalf of Chris and myself. Chris, believe me, Chris is in a meeting, but he'd rather be here. Trust me when I tell you. But also, Happy New Year to all the viewers and listeners, everybody in the chat. Alex, good action. As we, Chris and I have been talking about for the longest time how these games generate so much interest and so much, betting handle and things like that. And so much, a lot of fun to book. Yeah, you mentioned it. It's still a small sample size, but I think there's something to be said about this layoff.
Yep.
Right. So last year, all 4 teams on the bye got beat. This year, we have 3 out of 4 teams, and that's not to take away from the teams that won. Hey, credit them for the job they did. But again, and I listened to Mendoza, the quarterback for Indiana yesterday in his post game, and he said a lot of great things. This young man's got a bright future. But one of the things that struck me was what he talked about when he started to talk about how it took them a few series to get their footing, and the fact that the layoff definitely had an impact on them. Certainly over the long haul, that didn't matter.
Looks like we might not be able to hear Vinny just yet, but we are going to get that fixed here.
What are you kidding? You mean I've been talking for a half hour and nobody heard anything?
Okay, just cut out, so you were good.
Which part should I back up to? Which should I rewind to? Happy New Year or Merry Christmas? I mean, was I on last week? Okay. So when I listened to Mendoza talk about how the impact, the layoff impacted them as well. So again, but that's what you're dealing with too. You also need to get healthy, and you've got to, that's up to where the coaching staff comes into play, and how the player's mindset is. But all in all, good action, good results for the. I'd say yesterday was probably a little bit better than on Wednesday, but yesterday the results were good. But all three games were all four games were terrific. Except maybe the Oregon game, which was kind of lackluster. Texas Tech just couldn't get going at all.
Could not get going offensively, right? Yeah. First half, of course, just 6-0. The Ducks were up and then kind of ran away with it that second half, and Bear and Morton really couldn't get anything done there for the Red Raiders.
The key for the house was Mississippi State.
Was it?
That was a big one yesterday. Went down to 6, but then hold on a second. Am I off again? Hold on a second. Hold on, folks.
Well, Ryan McCormick, he liked Ole Miss leading up to that game, and yesterday I had said everybody's on Georgia. I haven't heard anybody really on the same side as Ryan. I liked the first half. I did end up jumping in during halftime. They gave me a pretty good plus price on the Rebels there, but credit to Ryan, because he did say nobody's talking about this team, and I imagine that we wanted to be on the same side as you guys.
Yeah, I'm gonna hold both of these microphones here to see which one works. This one here on my left is going to the Smithsonian Archives. Get this thing out of here. How about this one? Hey, is the camera on? What else could go wrong? Jeez. Okay, I'm sorry.
Hey, I love it. Oh,
Johnny Carson never had this kind of trouble. Ryan Seacrest doesn't have this issue. Go ahead, Alex. I'm sorry.
That's okay. We're starting new. Welcome in, everybody. Football Frenzy, January 3rd, 2026. I'm sorry, January 2nd, 2026. We're a mess.
The Twilight Zone Marathon, is it still on? Because we're in it right now.
The good thing is we've got a lot of people in the chat watching us live. We appreciate you guys. Let us know what you thought about those 4 quarterfinal games. I saw Attila. He agrees with you. 1-7 for the teams that have a bye week. So I'm sure they are going to make some adjustments. They have to do it quickly. They do have a deadline sometime this month to make any adjustments for the playoffs next year.
Yep. Speaking of adjustments, today is the first day of the transfer portal.
That's right.
Officially. Now, there are players that have obviously declared. And I'll tell you, just to get a little bit ahead, Alex, because I guess maybe that's a good segue into the semifinals. And Chris put the 2 semifinals up here at South Point yesterday with no change so far. Miami 3 over Mississippi with a total of 52, and Indiana 4 against Oregon with a total of 47.5. You know what's interesting though about the transfer portal and the whole Mississippi situation? You've got a significant amount of staff still coaching at Mississippi, coordinators that are technically on the LSU staff as well. I can't imagine that there are not conversations going on with players too, even though there's tampering and this and that. Meanwhile, if there's going to be tampering, and I heard a report this morning that Mississippi is considering tampering charges to LSU. You let them stay. You let the coaches stay. I mean, so I can't imagine that that's going to carry a lot of weight. But to me, I think that bears watching. And when you look at Mississippi and credit those kids and those players for the job they did in winning that game yesterday, because it looked like Georgia was bending but not breaking. Of course, they took the lead, but what a job in that second half by Mississippi.
I mean, they overcame a lot. Even coaching, to be honest,
Yeah.
because there were some mistakes. They had no timeouts.
Oh, at the end of the first half was a disaster.
The end of the first half
Yeah.
was a disaster. Kind of learned from that, though, going into the second half. But you're right. That's very interesting. When LSU gave them the okay, they could go coach, they weren't thinking that they were going to go very far and beat Georgia too, right? So
Sure.
now there's a whole nother week added on. But I will say that matchup's very intriguing. I was pretty upset Ohio State had originally lost to Miami. But now that it is going to be Miami and Ole Miss, I think that's pretty evenly matched there, as long as all the coordinators will be going. So it should be a really good one.
Yeah.
On the other side, of course, two Big Ten teams, kind of expected, both of them favorites. Oregon, a smaller favorite, just 2.5, but got it done against Tech. Kind of expected to see this. It's a rematch, revenge game for the Ducks here.
A lot of Tech money, by the way,
Yes.
late, Alex. In fact, here at South Point, Tech closed as a 1-point favorite, and it got as high as Oregon 2.5, just like 48 hours prior to that. So it was a pretty significant move with on Texas Tech, starting on Wednesday night into Thursday. But the rematch, you talked about, that was October 11th. The game was in Oregon, opened 7.5. It was a toggler. They were taking 7.5 with Indiana. They laid 7 with Oregon in that game. Game did close 7. They bet it under, but it opened 55 and it closed at 52. So, by the way, both teams were off the bye in that game. So now we talk about the bye this week. This bye was much longer. This was not just a 1 week bye. So 2 weeks between games. There were closer to 20 days. I think 22. I think it was 3 weeks for these teams. So different set of circumstances. But that was a good game. But this game, obviously, I think Indiana's defense is the real difference here. This defense is better than they were a year ago, and hence the fact that they're now favored in this game by 4.
I mean, pretty incredible, right? Indiana, a 7-point favorite yesterday over Alabama. Get it done, give up just 3 points, and now a 4-point favorite over the Oregon Ducks. Curious, you guys did have a prop that was up almost the entire season, and it was picking the winner by conference, right? Big Ten, SEC, Big 12, or ACC. Now, it looked like the ACC wasn't going to have a representative for a while. Where did you guys end up closing for all of those?
So I think Ryan, has a graphic, and where those are the openers and the closers, right, Ryan? So as you can see, folks, up there in order, SEC opened at plus $1.35. They closed at 4-1. The Big Ten opened at 7-5, so plus 140. Closed at minus 150. Predicated, obviously, on the fact that Ohio State and Indiana were the number 1 and number 2 seeds. And again, with the going into the postseason, both teams undefeated, obviously, right, until Indiana beat Ohio State in the Big Ten title game. ACC was 10-1, closed at 75-1. They became the long shot. Big 12 opened at 15-1, got as high as 20 and a little bit more, but closed at 5-1. And then the field, mainly, obviously, in Notre Dame as the primary field team.
Yep.
In that 10-1, closed at 7-1. So good action, always a fun prop. Every year South Point does try to put up a unique prop. Last year it was Georgia and Ohio State, and of course Ohio State prevailed. It was Georgia and Ohio State last year versus the field. So always something, and stick around. There's always some good props to wager on here.
Looking forward to these two matchups, and you brought up the numbers there for the semifinals. That actually goes with our poll question, too. We're asking everybody 6 days in advance if you like anything already here at the South Point Miami. 4-point favorite over the Rebels, total 52. And then that Friday game, January 9th, Indiana, 4-point favorite over Oregon, total 47.
Yep.
We've got a couple bowl games to get to today. We actually have one going on right now. Texas State just scored to make it 17-7, if I'm not mistaken there. Closed as a pretty big favorite, though, right, Vinny? They were betting
Alex,
Texas State.
I've got to tell you, these bowl games are this is the absolute opposite of these playoff games. And again, I think you have situations, and we talked about it last week, where you have coaches that know less about a lot of their players, going into these games in terms of their availability or their willingness to play than some agents out there. But this game was a huge move here. This game moved 3.5 points from yesterday. 19.5 it closed, Texas State. It's a game they opened 11. Initial money came in on Rice and went down to 10. But Rice without their quarterback, who's already in. We knew that. Going shortly after it was posted, he's in the portal. Just to name one player. But you have a 5-17 in Rice, who obviously got in because other teams declined. Or couldn't field a team, frankly, or enough players because of the portal situation, the transfer situation. Texas State at 6-6, but they did close at 19.5, and the total wound up coming down to 55. This total opened almost 60, 59.5. So, that game's underway, and you mentioned it, Alex. I think, let's see, we're about 5 minutes into the third period, 17-7 Texas State right now.
It looks like we just got a takeaway there for Texas State as well. But I know the books, you guys, you're rooting for Rice there and hoping that they can cover some of those early numbers.
Yeah, well, I think, and this Rice, very deliberate team too. Let's remember that, right? One of the more deliberate teams in the country, even more deliberate than some of the academies in terms of their just slow down pace.
Let's keep it moving here. Another quarterback that is in the portal, and he's going to be a very sought-after QB from Cincinnati, Brendan Sorsby. And Ryan had told me plans to meet with LSU and Texas Tech. I did hear the Texas Tech one already as well. So they love Navy in this spot too, Vinny, from a 1-point favorite to a 7-point favorite. Yeah,
well, just another bowl game, right? Where you mentioned, Alex, not only is Cincinnati's quarterback in the portal, but their two top running backs as well. So, and they've got others. Look, when you look at this game, offenses are very similar. They're very in terms of points per game, right? I mean, they're within a point of each other. 31 points a game on average for Navy, 32 points a game for Cincinnati. Cincinnati's a little bit more balanced, though. They'll at least throw in more passing than Navy, and we know that Navy is more of a predominantly run team. Defenses give up similar, 26 and 25 points respectively, Navy to Cincinnati. Cincinnati's last game, though, was November 29th. Now, at least Navy played Army in that game, so they've played a little bit more recently. The key is going to be if Navy can, dictate the pace. We know that there's not transfer a lot of nobody's leaving the academy and heading out in a transfer portal. So not a real surprise with the fact that Navy's drawn the majority of the support here, particularly given the skill position transfer issue with Cincinnati.
It's just so tough to get involved, especially if you miss the best of the number. My raw power rating would be Cincinnati as a 4-point favorite here. So 11.5-point swing now, and I can't really fault them, but I definitely don't want to get involved now so late. Now, these next two, not a lot of movement and not a lot of changes from where I think those numbers should be. And somebody just mentioned in the chat, too, because you brought up the fact that Rice, 5 wins, still made it to a bowl. Well, Mississippi State was one of those teams that was pretty fortunate going to Charlotte, North Carolina for the Mayo Bowl. And they'll take on a Wake Forest team that defensively was really good this year. I mean, giving up an average of 13 points. But they also had a couple of those games, right, where they gave up 42 to Florida State, gave up 49 to Duke in the finale. So
feast or famine, right?
That's right.
Just very unpredictable, Alex. I think Mississippi State's quarterback isn't Blake Stapen? He's in the portal, isn't he?
I believe he's done, and it might be his eligibility, but I read that he will play. Might get a few snaps, but not starting.
I just wonder where his head is at. I mean, this game from 2.5 initially up to 4, but then came down. Now it's sitting at toggling back and forth between 3 and 3.5 with Mississippi favored. So all indications are, I guess, that said that the fact that it has not completely run the other way, that he may play. Look, the thing about it is Mississippi still has. I think Mississippi still has over 20 players and a number of starters that are going into the portal. So even if he plays, what's around him, right? And you talk about layoff. We mentioned it with the teams that had to bye in the playoffs. Again, we talked and just look at the last game where some of these teams haven't played since the end of November. So. Lots of transition. You have to tread lightly, as a bettor. But you're putting your money up. Just buyer beware. The total on this game has come down a few points as well. Now down to 53. Look, I think at least Wake won 6 of their last 8 games, and I don't think they've got as many transfer portal issues. Mississippi State lost their last 3 conference games. So I just, again, it's hard to gauge. Maybe it's an in-game situation too, because you have that option now. And in recent years, we've seen the growth of the in-game, as we've talked about here. And so I think maybe if you're inclined to wager on this or you're interested in wagering on it, maybe you take a wait-and-see approach.
I agree, Vinny. It's very interesting, right? You're talking about Mississippi State and the guys leaving in the portal, and they're an SEC school, but still being poached by the SEC schools above that are better than them, right? And we did see glimpses of them being able to put it together, but with this layoff and players not playing, they're not that great.
So much uncertainty, really. It's buyer beware. And seller, buyer beware as a bettor. Seller take care as the bookmaker. So that's why these games don't have the same limits. And also much quicker line movement as compared to the playoff games.
This next one's fascinating to me. It is the Holiday Bowl here. We've got U of A, Arizona, up against SMU. And you've said this often, Vinny. This is one of those type of games to me. This is for recruiting, right? You've got Arizona who's kind of competing with Arizona State, who's been really good the last 2 years. SMU, they've got all these Texas teams, right? Yep. Kind of stepping up. So this one could be pretty meaningful to the both of them. I lean to the Wildcats. I guess I would just take that even money here for them to win outright. But I do think that this could be a pretty competitive game here. Total 52, and the line's telling you that, right? Mustangs just a 1.5 favorite. Yeah,
I think. Well, and a switch of favorites too, Alex. I think because the Mustangs have a little bit more stability with the coaching staff. We talked about it last year. I think everybody's coming back, and so head coach and coordinators. Quarterback. I think so. SMU just went to a 1.5 point favorite. Again, if you go back, 24 hours, the Arizona was still a slight favorite in this game, and they opened as a field goal favorite. But now with SMU, the only thing is with SMU. You want to check and make sure that if Isaiah Robertson, their wide receiver, is playing, because he's important to them. U of A finished the season with 5 straight wins, though.
Yes, they did.
And they value the ball. They do really take care of the ball. They don't turn the ball over very much. But SMU, we know. We talked about Navy trying to dictate the tempo in that game from a running perspective. SMU likes to go up tempo and control the tempo of the game. So they'll run, they'll get to the line quickly, they'll pass. Better defense belongs to Arizona. Plus 11 in turnover margin over their last few games. So down the stretch. Again, who's going to be able to dictate tempo and control the line of scrimmage in this game? Two kind of contrasting styles.
Should be a fascinating one here between the Wildcats and the Mustangs. Looking forward to that one tonight. It is 5 p.m. Pacific time. All right, before we get into the NFL, I do just want to touch on one more game because we won't get to speak with you or Chris before this one. Actually, we'll probably get Chris on Monday for this championship game. It's the FCS. It is in Nashville, Tennessee, Illinois State. We talked about them. The Road Warriors here made it all the way to the championship game.
Yep.
And now their reward, they have to face the powerhouse Montana State.
Right.
Open 10.5, I believe, but now you guys are down to 10.
Yeah, I took a wager right when I was headed down to the studio, and the game is now 10. So it was 10.5, as you mentioned, Alex, with Montana. And these two, good for these two programs, getting the primetime billing, 4:30 Pacific,
Yes.
in Nashville. ESPN's going to show the game and give these players, give these teams the spotlight, which is terrific. Listen to Illinois State as a school. It's their first trip to the title game since I want to say 2014. They have not gotten to the champ. And what a run they've been on too,
Yes.
right? I mean, they initiated this playoff run with the shocker against the number 1 seed, and good for them. Montana State on an 11-game winning streak, though. So this is they're the beast in this game, right? They're the Goliath in this game. What's surprising though? I had a double take on this. They haven't won the title since 1984. I thought it was more recent than that.
I did too.
But again, little uptick in the total, not real surprised. Open 55.5, and now sitting at 56. So, but this will be a fun game to watch and a fun game to book.
It definitely will. And you're right, Spotlight by themselves Monday night. We'll break it down more on Monday, myself, Ryan, and Chris Andrews looking ahead to that one. But all right, one more time, I just want to remind everybody of the poll that we do have before we end it, but it is about the semifinals being set. What's your play in the upcoming CFP semifinals? We gave you dogs and overs. So Ole Miss +3, Oregon +4. Miami, Florida, Ole Miss over 52, or is it Oregon and Indiana over 47? As Vinny mentioned, a lot of under money came in on that first matchup, final 20-10. It was all about the defenses. Does that flip for this second matchup?
Right. And actually, just to point out too, Alex, the Miami Mississippi game is Thursday.
Thursday, yes.
And the Oregon Indiana game is on Friday.
Yes.
Friday night. So they'll both be the spotlight.
We may
games.
have a Sports by the Book representative go to that Thursday game in Arizona to get us some live content. So it'll be great.
Let's hope that their microphone works.
We will triple check and make sure that their microphone does work.
Equipment check, please.
And has all the good cameras there. All right, let's take a quick break. Let's bring Ryan to the desk here because we've got Week 18 in the NFL. Could be crazy, Vinny. A lot of players sitting out resting for the playoffs. So we'll break all that down here on Football Frenzy, Sports by the Book.
Heading to Las Vegas to catch the action at Allegiant Stadium? Skip the traffic and the sky-high room rates of the Strip. Book your stay at the South Point Hotel, Casino, and Spa. The South Point is located just 7 miles away from the stadium, and it's a quick trip up the freeway, making it an affordable rideshare or taxi ride. And don't worry about getting here when you land in Vegas. We offer a convenient airport shuttle to get your getaway off to a stress-free start. Shuttles are also available on Raider game days for a small fee. So whether you're rooting for your team or seeing your favorite band in concert at Allegiant Stadium, South Point Hotel, Casino, and Spa is your ticket to all the excitement.
Looking to bet smarter? Get sports betting insight and winning picks straight from the South Point Hotel and Casino.
I think we're going to get goals from both sides here. Give me over 5.5.
That is also one of my favorite plays of the weekend is the Colts -3 on the road.
So you're getting plus 130 here.
I mean, how can you go against Tusky?
Exactly.
Join Sports by the Book at 10 a.m. Pacific and bet your winning edge.
South Point Casino has plenty of attractions for the whole family. Catch a movie. Our 16-screen movie theater includes 2 XD Extreme screens for the ultimate in viewing, sound, and luxury. After the show, treat the family to a variety of treats at our old-fashioned ice cream parlor, Kate's Corner. We scoop up a variety of creamy concoctions, including smoothies, hand-dipped cones, milkshakes, malts, sodas, and sundaes. At Kate's, there's something for everyone. And if you've still got time to spare, our bowling center might be right up your alley. Voted Best of Las Vegas, it's a great place for friends and family fun. 64 lanes, a pro shop, snack bar, and arcade. And while the kids are bowling, you can play slots and sip on a drink in the Alley Cat Lounge while overlooking the lanes. For our more serious and professional bowlers, the South Point is also home to a separate tournament bowling plaza.
Ready to lock in your bets and cash in on the games this weekend? Get weekly football winners from Alex White, Chris Andrews, and Vinny Magliulo.
I did take the dog 3.5.
I'm going to stay with the Colts, Eric. That's definitely going to be one of my plays.
If the Bears have turned the corner, they have to take care of business in this game.
Yes.
Tune in for behind-the-book perspectives you won't find anywhere else.
Well, if you're looking to bet the under, you're going to get a better number.
The wise guys are certainly not going to play the favorites.
I know if it hits 7, don't blink. Maybe that's what bettors are waiting for.
Every NFL matchup, every college game that matters, the spreads, the stats, and the smart money plays.
Is there a way to bet against both teams?
Get your winning edge with Football Frenzy, streaming on YouTube every Friday at noon Pacific.
Yeah, we're here for hour number 1, or I guess half hour already done, but
Well, you know, Ryan, I just want you to know, because I'm going to get this out of the way before we get to the Jets game, and you abuse me on it. This is how you rate around here. I learned something today. Ryan, we're off the air. We're on commercial. Ryan gets a mic check. Gets a little dab to the forehead. Gets an extra camera and everything like that. And I'm over here. And it's like, Vinny, yeah, get Vinny's mic. Is this on, by the way? Am I on? Yeah, you can hear me? Okay, good. And I got yesterday's water.
we actually did get new bottles.
Right.
I noticed that this morning.
Yeah, who did?
The property. Yeah, there's different bottoms. You actually got a new bottle.
Yeah, well, this one must have a hole in it. Okay. Anyway, Ryan, welcome to the program.
Football Frenzy, not talk water bottles. But yeah, thank you guys for being here. We're going to get into some NFL action as we have Week 18 getting to kick off tomorrow afternoon with 2 very important games for the playoff picture, both on the NFC side, and then get to wrap up Week 18 with one that secures the final spot in the AFC side. So we'll get things started. First, going over Panthers and Buccaneers, the 2 teams battling for the top of the NFC South. Open Bucks -3, total at 44.5. Vinny, what are you going to need here?
Toggler here. Here's what we don't need. I'll start in honor of Chris Andrews, director here at South Point. Here's what we don't need. We don't need the Buccaneers by 3. Both of these teams obviously come in limping, right? I mean, really, especially the Buccaneers. My goodness, and then Carolina, who's really played themselves into this position. Bucks had the great start to the season, but have really faltered down the stretch. A lot of injuries. Everybody's got injuries, though. I think it's their defense, though, that's really been let them down, and to the surprise of a lot of folks. Open 3, but it's kind of toggled back and forth between 2.5 and 3. So total on the game down to 43.5. So a little money to the under right now, Ryan, but definitely a situation where we don't need Buccaneers by 3, Alex.
This is a tough one. I think Ryan and I might disagree, which I know Vinny loves to hear, but I really can't quit Tampa Bay. I I made them 4.5 here at home. I haven't jumped in yet. Might be a money line play for me. I do still believe power rating wise, talent on the field, it is Tampa Bay. So I think they could get it done here. There's also that revenge factor. They just played each other. It's pretty incredible. Carolina 2-3 in their last 5 games with wins over Tampa Bay and the Rams, right? So, I mean, they are feeling good coming into this one. I've liked some things that I've seen from the Panthers this year, but it's going to be a Tampa Bay play for me.
I don't disagree with you at all. I 100% agree that I do think the Buccaneers have a better roster. My issue is I think I'm getting to the point where I trust Dave Canales more than I trust Todd Bowles, and it's going to be pretty much an end of a tenure here with Todd Bowles, if not in this offseason, probably coming up next year unless that team gets healthy. But did want to point out that in this game, a couple incentives for players. So we do have an incentive list. Shout out to Spot Track for putting together a whole article of attainable incentives in the description of the video. We also have the injury reports, playoff scenarios, and number 1 pick scenarios featuring the Raiders and Giants. And then the full incentive list if you want to take a look at other players that aren't necessarily attainable, like getting 3 interceptions or that kind of stuff. But
that's good.
All that in the description of the
That's
video.
good information to pay attention to. It's interesting. I mean, of course. But you know what's interesting, too, is, and we'll get to it, and some of the incentives, I wonder if the teams are going to pay him anyway. When we get to Philadelphia, let's look at it. Saquon Barkley has some incentive, and he's not going to play this week. So I think, that's where, too, you wonder what management is going to do, and classy management, and how to how they're going to handle it. But incentives and playoff scenarios, very important to pay attention to.
Yeah. So so Rico Dowdle is one touchdown away in that Panthers-Buccaneers game from 250,000. He's 7 scrimmage yards away. That's going to be really hard for you to get a value on that bet from a whole $1 million incentive. So really, the touchdown one there is going to have to be how you play it. But we'll go to the final one, the Saturday night game between the Seahawks and 49ers. This one is for the 1 seed in the NFC. Opened Seattle 1. We got to a pick. And now we're back up to 1.5, right? Vinny, did you take a pretty big bet there?
I think it's been a series of wagers, too, Ryan, over the last a few days. So initial money came in on the Niners. But I think that folks are looking at these 2 defenses and realize that Seattle's defense is better. And the Niners are missing. They're not 100% defensively. I know they're going to get Kittle back on offense. But I just think that, plus Seattle overall, I think, is the healthier team. And, based on that, I think that's where people's, at least so far, their support lies. So not only for the, obviously the number 1 seed, but the championship of the division, the regular season title for the division is at stake here. And of course, lots being made about if the Niners win this game. They already are in the playoff. They don't have to leave the state of California, right?
Yep, they don't have to leave their own stadium.
Or their stadium, yeah, exactly, right. That's where the Super Bowl is going to be too, which is the Super Bowl participant hasn't played in their home stadium until recently, until the last few years. So, but so far, more money, more support for the Seahawks, but. As Chris and I always say, they're public teams. The Niners are a public team. We're really never at a loss for that. And if we need the Niners at home here, that's so be it.
Yeah, it's not the worst thing, right? I'm right there. I made the Seahawks a 1-point favorite on the road against the Niners. I'm with Vinny, though. Everything that he said, I do think they get it done here. They are the better defense. They've been the more consistent team, healthier team all year long. And really, the Niners, I know Robert Saleh, DC there, he's going to have a good game plan, but I don't know if he has the personnel to get it done, right? They need to put pressure on Sam Darnold, and I don't know if they can do that. Second year in a row being in this spot, week 18, with a chance for the number 1 overall for that conference. I think Sam Darnold helps his team get it done this year.
I don't hate it. Both of these teams are really hot their last 2 months. San Francisco winners of 6 straight, 7 of their last 8, and Seattle also winners of 6 straight, 10 of their last 11. So Both teams playing good football, getting here down the stretch.
And a good coaching matchup.
Yes.
A good coaching matchup.
And Alex,
for
you made the point earlier in the week that these two are the second and third highest or best priced guys for Coach of the Year behind Mike Vrabel. You have to lay a price there for Mike Vrabel, but this game might ultimately decide who wins the award if the Patriots don't get things done against the Dolphins on Sunday.
Little move to the under. A couple of points to the under now, sitting at 48.
Okay. All right, we will move to those Sunday's games, starting with an NFC North battle. The Green Bay Packers on the road in Minnesota, taking on the Vikings. This one opened Vikings -6, and then Malik Willis ruled out, and we will now get a QB3 in the first of several games this weekend. So now looking at Vikings -9.5, total up just a half to 37. Vinny, have you gotten anything on the Packers?
No, we have not. So if you know anybody, we're running a Packers special. So look, I mean, these games are even more challenging than a lot of the bowl games, which we talked about in the previous segment. With players not playing, and what's at stake, and what look, we know the Packers are in the playoffs, the Vikings are not, but this is still a rivalry. Players playing for their jobs. But the reality is that without not only Jordan Love, but you mentioned Malik Willis now out. I mean, that's the key because that's the most impactful position, right? The quarterback position to the number, and so all the way up to 9.5. What's the buyback threshold? And again, that would be more seasoned bettors who are looking at it. Professional bettors, they bet numbers, they don't bet teams. If it gets to 10, I would imagine there would be some interest. Or, again, you're going to see there's more games here that are a stay away or a in-play type situation. And this may very well be one of those. 37 on the total, which, 30. It was a low total to begin with at 36.5.
Pretty crazy that Max Brosmer here is a 9.5-point favorite over the Packers, right? Third string quarterback for the Vikings. But really, it's been all about their defense, and they've won and covered in 4 straight. And their defense, they've had 5 interceptions in the last 7 games. I think back to last year where the Chiefs rested everyone in Week 18 and the Broncos shut them out 38-0. So it's hard. You think 9.5 is a ton of points, but I would just be careful. I do like under 37. I do think this will be a lower scoring game. That's my power rating number, 37, before taking all the key players out. So I'd have to adjust it. So I'm going to bet under 37 there for a small bet.
Packers are looking to get out of this game with no more injuries.
Yep.
That's, obviously the key.
And this game legitimately means, other than a division rivalry, it means nothing for them. They cannot improve their playoff position. They already have clinched, so they will be the 7th seed and get to either go into Chicago or Philadelphia, whoever clinches the 2 there in the NFC. We'll move on to an AFC South battle, one that features a team that can win and needs help to win their division, and one team that's eliminated, the Colts and Texans. Texans opened a 10-point favorite, total at 40. Looks like we're still there at the 10, but the total has gone down. What do you think, Vinny?
A little bit of early money on the Texans at 10.5, and then that got grabbed. So back to 10. It looks like Riley Leonard, I think, is going to go for the Colts. No reason to have Phillip Rivers to go again. What's interesting about the Texans, one of the few teams really in NFL history that started the season 0-3 and now are in the playoffs. I mean, when you look at all the metrics, when a team begins the season 0-3, it's extremely high that they miss the playoffs. But credit the Texans for the job they did, and the coaching and the playing. And let's remember they were without Stroud for a number of games as well, right? So here they are in a position now to not only are they going to the postseason, but they have a chance to elevate their position in terms of seeding.
I think they'll get it done, too. It's just a matter of if they can cover that 10. I made it 10. I also made the total 39. So this one was crossed off pretty easily. Maybe if bettors come in and take that 10, I can get 9.5 to tease down and find a partner there with the Texans. I don't know if that was one of your early week ones.
It was not.
So, I mean, that's the only way I'd look, but nothing as of right now.
Okay. The Houston Texans have won 8 straight games, 9 of their last 10, and 9 of 11 since their bye week. So they are absolutely playing football, good football at the right time. Another shout out to Michael Giannetti, putting that article together of the list of incentives for Spot Track.
Good.
Nick Chubb is 94 rush yards away from 250,000, but he has another added note from that article is that he has not reached that mark since September of 2023. So it could be a tall task there for Nick Chubb to get to that 94 yards in order to get that incentive, but it is there for him to reach. All right, going to an AFC East battle between the Dolphins and Patriots. Open Patriots minus 11, total at 45.5. Looks like we're still there on the total, but Vinny, is anybody betting the Dolphins?
Not really. I think that, this may be one of the more in progress games, in-game wagering games. But the Patriots have quite a few players that are hurt on the defensive side of the ball, and so it is a big number. But you wonder too, when Miami was officially bounced, remember a few weeks back they looked like they were possibly making a run, but I think this is a big coaching mismatch too, honestly, and I think that's played into the fact that more folks, even though they took the 11 on the opener and we're sitting at 10.5, it's not like everybody's jumping in on either side right now. So more of a wait and see approach, I think, with this one on the bettor's part.
Got to imagine coaching for his job, Mike McDaniel there. So it's tough to gauge, right? Coming off of a win, do they keep it going? Of course, the Dolphins beat Tampa Bay last week, and so I don't know. It's tough. I'm right there. I made it 10-46, so I've got nothing in this one either.
The Dolphins have not swept this season series since 2017, and that was featuring Tom Brady. Brady still had 3 more years after that as well in New England, so would be a pretty big win here for the Dolphins, but it would be a tease up to get into 3 scores there. Yeah,
and the other thing, remember, in recent, a lot of folks, the Dolphins in cold weather and inclement weather, that's kind of been gone by the wayside in the last few trips to either Buffalo or New England.
So a reason I was thinking teasing the Dolphins up here is that their defense will be competing pretty hard. Their leader, Bradley Chubb, has already earned over $5 million in incentives from what he's done himself throughout the year, but he unlocks another $875,000 if the defense collectively finishes top 20 in scoring defense in the NFL. So they have to allow 3 less points than the Falcons allow to the Saints. So keeping the Patriots under 20 and the Saints get to 23 unlocks Bradley Chubb a pretty nice play day to take care of his guys there on the defense.
So he'll be scoreboard watching a little bit.
A little bit, yeah. The Dolphins will definitely be doing that. All right, going to an AFC West battle between 2 teams that are eliminated, one the first time in over a decade. The Chiefs on the road here in Las Vegas against the Raiders. Open Chiefs minus 5.5, total at 37. Vinny, has there been good 2-way action on this game?
Not really. Not a lot of interest in this game. I think because of so many injuries to key people on both sides of the ball. I mean, I don't think Geno Smith's going to play, or he's doubtful for the Raiders. Of course, no Max Crosby, and I don't. I mean, did you ever? What surprised? Did you ever see a Chiefs? I'm trying to remember the last time we had a Chiefs total at 36, and it was on 37 on the opener, and it's been played under. So, no Bowers either for the Raiders. So their best offensive player who missed last week and their best defensive player who missed last week will not be here. Of course, we know about the Chiefs' injuries, starting with Patrick Mahomes. So it's kind of it's amazing. Again, I'll reference public teams, and the Chiefs being such a public team. Not a lot of interest in a game, and it's a dead number. What do I mean by that? 5.5. I mean, how many games even kind of fall into that five area in the NFL in particular? So a real kind of wait and see approach to this one from the bettors so far.
A Ludokan, not particularly great for Kansas City when stepping in, but they did cover against the Broncos. in that standalone game. So they actually put a pretty good effort out there. I don't have a play on this. To Vinny's point, it's 36, but I still don't hate that under. Maybe looking more first half, but the Raiders, missing a lot of pieces, clearly trying not to win this one.
Yeah, and you talked about last year's game featuring a shutout in Week 18. The Chiefs also shut out the Raiders earlier this season.
Yes, they did.
31-0, so that would still get under the total. Chiefs would cover, and the Chiefs defense is still capable to do so, especially against a Raiders team that genuinely does not care to win this game. The Chiefs also have never lost in the city of Las Vegas. They are 5-0 against the Raiders and 1-0 in the Super Bowl here. So they like Allegiant Stadium a little bit.
Raiders are have the number one pick right now.
As long as they lose, they will be the number one pick. If they win, they lose it. They are susceptible to the Giants taking over.
All those factors you just said, hopefully they can get past all that pride stuff, because they would love to beat the Chiefs in their home building finally. And then them getting shut out earlier this year, I forgot about all that.
Yeah.
It's tough.
All right, going to an NFC North battle. This one in Chicago. The Lions on the road taking on the Bears. Open Bears -2.5. Looks like we've gotten to the 3 total at 50.5. Vinny, what do you think here?
Yeah, this hasn't toggled back and forth. It's been 3 for a bit. Total on the game has not moved at 50.5. Bears can improve their situation, I think. Right?
As long as they win, they are the 2 seed.
Right, they're the 2 seed. So. They can't get to the 1, obviously, but in terms of proving, they can hold as a 2 seed to play at home. Look, the Lions, so many injuries on both sides of the ball, but especially defensively, and the Bears, they like to press. Your Bears love pressing the pace a little bit, so I could see where there's going to be interest. We're probably going to need the Lions in this game, and not a real surprise. Now, will it go through 3? Yeah, it could very well happen.
I kind of like the Lions getting a field goal here, +3. There is one thing I don't like. Week 2, Ryan knows this, 52-21 was the final score in Detroit. So I think the Bears are going to be highly motivated in this one. I am going to take over 50.5. I made it a little higher. I'm closer to 54 here. So I think there's some value. Most of those injuries that Vinny's talking about are on the defensive side. The Bears defense has struggled. We just saw them and the Niners get into a shootout. So if anything, I think the Lions could put up some points here to try and hang around. So I'm going to go over that 50.5.
I mean, yeah, the Lions certainly did put up points. They put up 52 back in week 2, and a little bit kind of sticking it to the Bears by scoring late when they didn't need to. And Ben Johnson kind of made the point of, what is Dan Campbell supposed to do? That's what he's made a history of. He goes and he kind of just sticks it to you. He's ready to punch you in the mouth. And I think Ben Johnson is ready to do the same.
I think so.
So
I think he would love to.
Another reminder that the Chicago Bears have never had a 4,000-yard passer in their franchise's history, over 100 years of franchise history. And Caleb Williams is 270 yards from that mark. Looks like his passing market is around 240 yards. Ben Johnson has said that 4,000 is just a number, but going into the year, they had both set a goal of Caleb Williams to reach that 4,000. So could be, if their Bears are going to pile it on, it'll be through the arm of Caleb Williams here. All right, going to Buffalo, the final game in Highmark Stadium for the Buffalo Bills. The New York Jets on the road, Bills -9, total 39.5 is where those opened. Looks like you've gotten a little bit of Jets money, Vinny.
Well, initially, it was Jets. The game did open 9, as you mentioned, Ryan. Got as low as 6.5. I mean, the Bills are going to probably rest quite a few folks too, right? Going into the postseason. This total of 37 is under by 2.5 points. Moved to the under by 2.5 points from the opener. So this game again. This has seen quite a bit of movement. One of the games that has more movement than a lot of the others. At open 9, got as low as 6.5. Now we've seen Bills money in the last probably 24 hours to get back to 8. By the way, one thing I also want to point out is if you look at these games, remember these games that we're reading these games and covering these games in rotation order, betting interest number order. Pay attention to the times. We're going to have more afternoon games. This is one of them, a 1:25 Pacific start. There's more afternoon games this week than any other week of the regular season. And again, I think the league, what they do, when they reschedule a lot of these games, they want teams that are whose results impact seeding in particular, or standing, to have to go at the same time. So again, these are, when you're wagering on these games, pay attention to the time changes that exist for these games.
8 here. Josh Allen is not playing, right? They are resting him.
Josh Allen has the longest active streak of consecutive starts in NFL history. They did the same thing last year where they had him play one play in Week 18 to keep that streak going. Is more than likely going to be the case this week, so we should be getting Mitchell Trubisky for the majority of the game.
I think if I can get under that 8, I see some 7.5 set there. I'd like that 7 again. If we can get back there, it's still like Buffalo, and there's just a lot of incentives on that offense for the Bills, and I think Trubisky can do just enough here to help them put up some points. So I'm leaning that way. My power rating number, what I made this game, is 15. You guys opened what, Vinny?
Opened 9.
9. So even lower than what I had originally anticipating.
Well, a lot of rested players, I think.
So he probably would have been 2 touchdowns.
Now, and you mentioned, it's a good point about Josh Allen, Ryan. I thought he'd play like a series, but to your point, there's no reason. I mean, he's got a bad ankle, so I don't know.
Yeah, more than likely just going to take one snap, hand it off to James Cook, and then head to the bench. So, but there are 7 attainable incentives on the Spot Track article. So,
any of them with the Jets? Probably not.
I don't think so.
I didn't think so.
There are 2.
They should have an incentive to get a.
They're both special teams.
Say
both player incentives is special teams players.
Wonderful.
But yeah, the Jets have yet to record an interception this year, so that is also hanging over their heads.
So that might be bettable.
Lord.
All right, as Vinny talked about the rotation number order, we are going to the next one, but it is Sunday Night Football. The AFC North crown on the line between the Baltimore Ravens and Pittsburgh Steelers. Ravens open -3, total at 41. We are at 3.5. Looks like people are comfortable laying the Ravens here. Is that right, Vinny?
Yeah, they did lay the 3, and we sit at 3.5. But it sat there for quite a bit, and it's not like folks grabbed it. And you look at this and you say, wow, well, how could the Ravens be? Frankly, the Ravens have looked a lot better than the Steelers the last couple of weeks. Steelers have played themselves into this position to possibly losing the division, and the defense played well last week against the Browns in Cleveland. I thought the offensive play calling was atrocious. I mean, I talked to a lot of Steeler fans, and I certainly watched the game with one of the biggest Steeler fans, Chris Andrews, and we were looking at each other and saying, and I don't know if it was coming in from the sideline, but let's face it, Aaron Rodgers has a lot of latitude. I think he was just completely out of sorts last week. Do they right things? Possibly. But it's going to be a tall order here. Again, now, Lamar Jackson, is he 100%? I don't think so. We've not seen him be able to run as much. We mentioned about Josh Allen with his ankle. Jackson's ankle is not 100%, but he did not play last week. And I think in all likelihood, he was questionable, but what's the latest on him? I think he's probable now.
Schefter said this morning that it is likely that both Lamar Jackson and T.J. Watt will be playing in this game.
Watt, I think Watt too. He's ready. So, but more Ravens money on this one, Alex. So far, not really surprised given the recent form by these two teams.
I agree, and it's funny how Ryan started that off. People are feeling comfortable laying the points with the Ravens. Don't get comfortable this year laying points with the Ravens because that's when they'll disappoint you. But, I mean, if you saw what Derrick Henry did last week, I imagine that has to be the game plan. DK Metcalf kind of really hurt the Steelers team and their postseason because won't be here again.
He'll be out again.
And they don't have Darnell Washington either, who's been a huge part of that offense. We know they like to run have all those tight ends out there at the same time. So I do think it's a mismatch. I'm not going to get involved. I made this game higher. So part of me wants to go over. We know how this is, not the black and blue division, but
Frostbitten
division, but maybe looking Ravens team total over is how I could still back my number, partially betting on the Ravens here.
I like it. I like the Ravens side much more in this game. Vinny, you talked about the Steelers looking kind of lost last week, a large part of missing DK Metcalf. Now you add in the fact that they are missing their 300-pound tight end in Darnell Washington.
Broken arm,
Yeah, so that offense is not looking good at the wrong time of the year. So I do think it'll end up being the Ravens being the AFC North champions and being the 4 seed in the AFC. All right, we'll go to the other game in the AFC North between the Cleveland Browns and Cincinnati Bengals. Open Bengals -7.5. We are still there at 7.5. Open total at 44.5. We are now up to 45. Vinny, has this one had much action?
No, not really, Ryan. And again, you look at this one, the Bengals 7.5 against the Browns defense, where the Bengals offensive line, I know Burrow gets rid of the ball quick, but he's got to get rid of the ball quick because they really can't protect him. So you wonder, too, how this game plays out. How does Burrow play the whole game? And if right, I mean, he's their franchise quarterback, so you have to wonder. I know one of the big incentives here is Myles Garrett,
That's right?
And 1 sack away from the NFL.
By the way, I think that it's subconsciously last week that Rodgers just had that in his head, and he was just determined not to become. He didn't want to be, in the answer to a trivia question.
Yep.
Forget it. We played a game anyway. But this game here, Myles Garrett, and I know you'll get to it, Ryan, with the incentive that he's got, but not a lot of movement on this game at all. And again, a kind of a wait and see approach. We know that the Bengals they've been able to score points, right? The question is, how long is Joe Burrow gonna be in this game? So kind of tread lightly. Maybe it's a first half situation. If that's the other thing we not really talked too much. We talked about some in game, but maybe there's some first half opportunities for folks as well.
That angle
Made it 8.5 and 42, so a little bit lower, but with not a lot to play for, even though the Browns defense has been so good, that kind of worries me to try and bet that under, even though they did hold the Steelers to 6 points last week. But Cincinnati has been putting up good numbers, 37, 45 in the last 2 weeks on this winning streak. So I'm probably going to stay away from this one. But that is interesting with Myles Garrett because Joe Burrow, Joe Flacco, do they put him in? Who will it be against?
He needs one, right, to break the record?
Needs 1 sack to break the record. We kind of talked about it last week of guys not wanting to be the answer. Well, I think it was actually 2 weeks ago that we mentioned it. And guys just being willing to take the intentional grounding, getting the ball out of their hands, and not wanting to be that guy. So, but with the Bengals, they were shut out 3 weeks ago against the Ravens, and then continued to beat their next 2 opponents by the same score that they were shut out and lost by. So beat the Cardinals by 24 or 27, I believe, and then flip that. Browns 27, Cardinals 23. And then you add in the fact that the Browns are now missing their best offensive target in Harold Fannin. I'll be laying it here with the Bengals. But Vinny does make a great point that it might be a lot smarter to do so in the first half. All right, we'll go to an NFC East battle that a team has not beaten this team in 5 years. The Dallas Cowboys on the road in MetLife against the New York Giants. Cowboys open -5.5. It's down now to 3.5. Total open 52.5. We are down on that now to 49.5.
Yeah.
Good amount of Giants backers?
It's all about the Giants in this game, and I think one of the reasons is, listen, we know the Giants have been injured all season long. Cowboys not 100%, but just if you watch the body language of the Cowboys, and you wonder how long Dak Prescott in particular is going to be in this game. So there's so many. It's just such a weird week for games. Even though these guys are pros and things like that, you just don't know what coaches are thinking about, what players are have on their mind as well. We've seen where Dak at least was healthy for the better part of this year, unlike past couple of years. So, but this one is more about the Cowboys. The Giants. I'll tell you what. Not only Dart, but the Giants overall, even with their injuries, have played extremely hard. They've really you watch and these guys. I think they've got some good pieces in place. I mean, obviously they're on a coaching search. Mm-hmm. They've got some good young talent, even though some of that young talent is on the IR right now. But the vibe there is that they're building, and Dart, he's having a great time. He loves it. Now I think he's taking too many hits, which is another story. But you know what? He's fiery, and we saw it last week. And I know it was against the Raiders, but they were here in Las Vegas, and they're very, very spirited team. And I think that is got a lot to do with folks taking the early points with the Giants, Alex.
Yeah, it would be a lean taking the points here. I made the Cowboys 1 on the road against New York here. I chose to bet the over here, 49.5. I made it 54. The one thing that scares me is that first matchup, 40-37 final, but 41 of those points were in that fourth quarter. So can they get going quicker in this one? I think they can, especially that it is Jackson Dart this time, and that neither really have a lot to play for, right? So I do think Dak will get his guys the ball. I think CeeDee Lamb, I don't know if he has an incentive, but I do think that they'll score, and I think the Giants will play feisty in this one, can put up some points.
Well, according to the article, the Giants, neither of these teams really have anybody that has an attainable incentive in this week. A couple more that need like a lot of stats to kind of back it up. But I'd mentioned that the Cowboys have won 9 straight in this rivalry. They've won 16 of the last 17. They've won 21 of the last 25. I think the Giants will be able to get it done. You talk about, building a little bit of confidence. They got their first win under their interim head coach, Mike Kafka, last week. So I'm just trying to get into the offseason, feel a little bit better about how bad things went. These guys don't care about getting the number 1 overall pick. They need the help of the Raiders winning. And they have their quarterback in place.
Yes.
That they believe. So, they're really good or have been good at keeping it close. So I love it as a teaser leg. I know we've moved past getting double digits there at 11.5 where it opened, but even still at the 9.5, I think it's okay. All right, going to the other matchup in the NFC East. The Washington Commanders on the road in Philly taking on the Eagles. Open Eagles minus 8.5. Got, I believe, 2 double digits, and then it was announced that Jalen Hurts and Saquon Barkley will not be playing, and we're now down to 4. So total open 42.5. That has also come down. Vinny, are you going to need the Eagles here?
Probably, but it's a little deceiving too because it was an adjustment too, right? I mean, there's a difference between an adjustment from, let's say, 7 to 4, then moving on air. All right. I mean, moving on air is an example where, you're just following, let's say, other properties' line moves, and you're just moving up or down accordingly to what they do without taking a bet. This one you had to adjust. We kind of knew about Barkley, but once it was announced that Hurts wasn't going to play, again, obviously the starting quarterback position, most impactful to the number. That was the adjustment too, but they did initially bet it down, so we're probably gonna we're gonna need the Eagles, but again, it's a little deceiving, from the 8.5 down to 7, which was very, very, very quick, but the adjustment from 7 to 4 that's where it has has not really been touched. 39 on the total, which was also an adjustment too, particularly with Hurts being out.
We've got Tanner McGee versus Josh Johnson, right? Playing or starting.
Household names, no question.
Quarterback there. I've got nothing.
Good for those guys in this game.
Okay. I would point out that these two teams did play 2 weeks ago, And the
Yes.
Commanders do have a pretty bad taste in their mouth between how that one kind of ended and the Eagles doing the same thing as the Lions did earlier. So
Yep.
Commanders definitely going to be fired up to upset the Eagles and force them to be the 3 seed in this year's NFC playoff picture. So going to an NFC South battle that teams are eliminated, but can still help the Panthers into the playoffs if the Panthers lose on Saturday. The Saints and the Falcons. Don't have the note on where it opened, but we sit at 3.5 and 44.
3. So Toggler, again, laying 3 or taking 3.5. Ryan, in this one, the total up a little bit. Got as high as 45 off the 43.5 point opener. 43.5 total opener. Got as high as 45, now 44. You know what's interesting about these two teams? They're playing better football
Yes.
than the two teams playing tomorrow, the Panthers and the Buccaneers, who are playing for the division. Think about that.
Yep.
You talk about finding a quarterback. It certainly looks like the Saints have. No Kamara, though, right? I think he's out for this game. But Chuck has done a terrific job. And the Falcons have played, they've been a surprise the last couple of weeks, especially beating the Rams last week. So, it's interesting that this game is going to potentially have an impact on actually it will, no matter what, really, when you think about it, right? I think the Falcons have to win.
Yeah,
right.
If Tampa wins on Saturday, the Falcons have to win in order. Well, actually, no, the Saints have to win in
Okay.
order for Carolina to get in.
There you go.
Because all 3 teams in the NFC South would finish 8 and 9.
They would have the same record. But interesting that these two teams, who are in 3rd and 4th place respectively in the division, are playing better over the last month than both the Panthers and the Buccaneers. Alex.
I agree with that move on the favorite here from 3 to 3.5. That's where I would be on this. I made it a slightly higher 5. I like the Saints. Like them as a dog too, but not enough for me to jump in and get involved. Also, don't really want to lay that with the Falcons feeling all fat and happy off of that big upset over the Rams. So could see the Saints going in here and winning this thing.
I don't have anything in this one. Well, more so just be keyed on Saturday's game. But going to the NFC West battle that Chris told us early in the week has had some interesting action based on the same thing of one of the Saturday games and the Cardinals getting tied up to it. But this one opened Rams -7. Looks like we're at -8. And total has stayed stagnant at 46. What do you need, Vinny?
Yeah. The Rams are going to be get played in this game. And again, I think it's as much as anything else, particularly defensively over the last few games, they've not been as good as they were, a month ago, let's say, right? So heading into the postseason, Sean McVay, they want to get things right. I mean, obviously they want to stay healthy. We know they can score points, but defensively they've really not been stellar. And so I think that this is a game where they're looking to get right and get things sorted out as they head into the postseason. Still have them as the number 1 power rated team in the NFC for sure, Alex.
So if the Niners win, then they take the 1 seed. Seattle drops to the 5, and the Rams can't catch them because Seattle already has 13 wins. If Seattle wins, then the Niners that are sitting here at 12 and 4, the Rams have a chance to be 12. They would both be 12 and 5, right?
Mm-hmm.
So then they would actually play their guys. So it's kind of a wait and see. But what was that parlay? They were saying Niners.
Yeah, Chris was saying that they're betting Niners and Cardinals.
Because then they would rest their guys if the Niners do
right,
win.
and then if they could get in, but initially, the side came. Yeah, I mean, yes, they want to get things right.
He did say that after the
LA.
game Monday.
Yeah, so
regardless,
it's kind of a, it's a tug of war a little bit, right? Now they're an opponent going against an opponent who's, look, this game would be double digits otherwise. Let's clarify that. This game would be at 10 or more if those circumstances didn't exist. The reason it's still 8 is because of the fact that the Rams need to sort some things out, right? And so, again, they could do that very quickly in this game, right?
Yep.
And then say, okay, let's just now we'll stay healthy for the second half.
I've been wondering for the last 2 weeks since the Rams fired their special teams coach after losing to Seattle, if Seattle broke them. And
Interesting, yeah.
I mean,
possibly.
not necessarily. They played against a Falcons team in Atlanta that had just not been able to put it together all year, has the talent to compete with anybody. But yeah, I have been wondering if the Rams are broken. Granted, they didn't have Devontae Adams in either of those games.
Mhm.
So, and they won't this week.
They won't either.
Just staying healthy. And an incentive note there is that Jimmy Garoppolo, as long as he plays over 50% of the snaps and they get the win, he gets $500,000. So the Rams are obviously going to be playing for the win here, not trying to lose to a Cardinals team that they've beaten a ton over the last couple of years.
Probably
All right.
see a lot of Garoppolo in the second half, especially the fourth quarter.
All right, going to an AFC West battle. The Chargers and Broncos. Broncos opened 7.5. We are now over double digits to 12.5. Total at 39.5 is where it opened. We are down to 37.5. Chris was also telling us that the 7 where it opened was expecting that Justin Herbert wasn't going to play, but we've jumped because the market jumped to the double digits.
Well, it looked like Herbert, wasn't official. I mean, it's either, but obviously, the injuries to the Chargers offensive line in particular is I think concerning. So, there's been we adjusted before, and then certainly after it was made official that Herbert wasn't going to go, and a bunch of others as well. But you wonder also in these games, how long are the Broncos going to keep the starters in, right? Going into the playoffs, right? They've got the number 1 seed right now. So I think it certainly bears watching. That's why I think we're going to see a lot more first half action this week than we normally would in a lot of weeks, because of teams, if they can set themselves up in a position in the game, and then just kind of grind out the at least if not the first half, the first 3 quarters. Alex,
It's pretty 37.5 total and catching 12.5 with the Chargers here.
Oh.
And to Vinny's point, my original power rating, making my own line, would be Broncos 4 at home here against the Chargers. So then you factor in Justin Herbert and whoever else is resting, but it's a pretty big jump there. So I guess just Herbert would be the 7.5, probably worth a little more than that, right? 3.5. But I know Chris took a wager here, taking the points with the Chargers. I'm very tempted to follow suit.
I will be following. I do think the Chargers will definitely keep it within the mark, especially because the Broncos play close games. They don't cover double digits. So will be a play on the Chargers there. All right, going to the final game in rotation number order, the AFC South battle between the Titans and Jaguars. As long as the Jags handle their business, they are AFC South champions and will more than likely be the 3 seed, although if the Broncos and Patriots both lose, they can be the 1 seed in the AFC. But Jags open -12, total at 47.5. We are now to 13.5 and still there at 47.5.
well, I mean, obviously they won't know about the Broncos, but the Patriots are playing, and they won't know about the Patriots. So this is an early game too, which is kind of unusual. But the fact of the matter is, the other 2 teams are double-digit favorites, right? They're one's 1.5 and the other one's almost a 2-touchdown favorite. So, I mean, Titans pretty spirited last week. This is the Jags game to manage, if you will. I mean, and I think that's the mindset here. They'd open 12.5. They're going to be in every teaser that the public's teasers. So that's not a real shock either, Alex.
I've made it 11.5. I'm kind of tempted to jump in here on the Titans. I've been avoiding them because, the middle chunk of the year, they weren't very competitive and you weren't getting a whole lot back. They weren't covering spreads, even as a big underdog. But as of late, they've been much better. Really thought they had that game last week against the Saints. And then, a beat up Kansas City team to get their next win. But Yeah, maybe if it hits 14, that'll be
Probably.
my spot that I'll jump in here and
Yeah, I
take a
could see
little.
it.
Jags have won 7 straight games, 8 of their last 9 off the bye. And then incentive notes of 2 defensive players that need sacks for a bit of money. Eric Armstead is 1.5 sacks away from getting a full $1 million in incentive. And Austin Johnson is 1 sack away from $250,000. I mentioned those sacks because Cam Ward is the most sacked quarterback in the National Football League this year. So Jaguars defense should be able to feast here on the Titans O-line. And I honestly anticipate both those guys getting their incentives. All right, that was the NFL slate. We did want your guys' thoughts with our poll on the NFL slate, going with what's your overplay in games with no playoff implications. So we gave you guys the Cowboys-Giants over 49.5, Saints-Falcons over 44, Chiefs-Raiders over 36, and the Browns and Bengals going over 45. And we had a tie between 2 games involving NFC teams. The Cowboys and Giants over 49.5, expecting at least 50 points in there is our chat. And then the Saints and Falcons over 44. Both games getting 35% of the vote from our chat today.
Wow.
What was the result from that first poll?
The college one.
College was almost a tie as well. I think the YouTube percentages might have thrown it off, and I think it is a tie. But what's the upcoming play in the upcoming CFP semifinal games? Ole Miss getting 3 against Miami, or that total going over 52, and then Oregon getting 4 against Indiana, or that total going over 47. And we had a tie between Ole Miss getting the 3 against Miami down in Glendale and the over in the Oregon-Indiana game, over 47. I don't know how much I like that over. That should be a pretty good defensive game.
Indiana's defense is strong. It's excellent.
Definitely.
All right, Alex, do you have your board ready?
I have my board ready. Is Seahawks minus 120? Or are we looking at minus 125? Money line.
Money line here at the South Point, Seattle.
Yes.
It is 140.
Oh, geez.
There are 135s in the market. There is even a 130, but 140 here at the South Point.
All right, we'll do that. Gotta follow the numbers. I'm going with the chat too, because that was one of the ties. They like over Cowboys Giants. I'm going over 49.5. I'm going over with the Bears and the Lions. And I am going with Seattle money line to beat the Niners and to be the 1 seed. What about you?
All right. Well, my early week teaser, one of the lines moved against me and one of the lines moved with me. So teaser gave out the Chargers plus 18.5 and the Commanders plus 13. That one moved with me. And then the Packers plus 12. That one moved against me. Not too good there. But I also like the Panthers being able to get it done against the Bucs on the road tomorrow. If they don't, so be it. But then now giving it out, I do like the Bengals to cover that 7.5. I do like the Bears to cover the 3. And then another 2-leg teaser if you want to tie it up, or another 2 for a teaser to tie up with the Chargers at the 18.5. I would like the Dolphins plus the 16.5 and the Giants plus 9.5 there.
Dangerous dogs.
Yeah. But week 18, we'll see how it happens.
There you go.
All right. Well, we thank you guys for tuning in live. We thank you guys for watching it back after the fact. Good luck this weekend for the crew, for Sean, Jerry, Ann, Andrew, Vince, for Vinny, Alex, and myself. We thank you guys for watching Sports by the Book. This has been Football Frenzy.